Since this lens came out, Lumix 24-60 f2.8, a lot of you have been asking me to compare it side by side to its obvious competition, Sigma 24-70mm f2.8 Art Mark II. Apart from the obvious focal length difference, I'm gonna show you how they differ optically, physically, price-wise, and in the end, hopefully help you to decide which one of these is better for you. In the real-world situations, for me, there's a very little, if any, difference between these lenses. It's very hard to tell if the one is sharper or the other, or performs better. So we're gonna go deeply into it, do some pixel peeping, and see if there is any difference in the real-world situations. What Lumix have done with trimming that standard focal length of 24-70 to 24-60, they try to make a lens smaller. Well, it is smaller than your usual 24-70, but not much. Sharpness, both of these lenses work extremely well. Maybe if I did some chart tests, technical tests around the corners or edges, there would be some differences or problems. Maybe, I don't know, because in real world situations like portrait, street photography, product, or whatever daily usage, this is not as important. The standard places where you do focus on things in your pictures or video, these lenses work exceptionally well. Also, talking about the sharpness, I need to talk about the autofocus performance. And Lumix, you get what you expect from Lumix. It does work very well. Maybe not on original S5 camera, but on a current S1 II, S1R2, S5 II, and S5 IIX, S9, this lens performs superbly. And so does Sigma. Sigma does work a little bit differently in a way that it makes different sound while autofocusing. That's not really affecting the performance, but Sigma makes a ticking sound inside the lens while the autofocusing is working. Not really a problem. It would be not something hearable even if you use a microphone on the camera, but yeah, it sounds different. Overall, these both are modern, excellent performance when it comes to sharpness, and both get a point. Chromatic Aberration. Surprisingly, for a zoom, f2.8 zooms, they both suffer from some chromatic aberration, not much, way below average, especially if you compare them to primes. But Sigma is definitely showing more. Chromatic aberration is the color purple or orange fringing around the edges when you shoot towards the strong light sources. Very minimal with Lumix, a little bit more with Sigma, not a big deal really. It's not really that important or that tragically bad with these lenses, but it is there if that really bothers you. Sigma is slightly worse, so Lumix here gets a point. Bokeh, need to talk about the bokeh. Seemingly not important, the blurred parts of the images, unlike the sharp parts of the images, but it is something a lot of photographers or filmmakers look for, and in lenses in this class, quite important. Both of these lenses create really nice looking blur and the subject to background separation, but Sigma creates slightly more smoother or more rounder looking blurred parts of the images than the Lumix. Not a big difference really. If you don't compare these lenses side by side, the images from these lenses side by side is very, very close call here. But when you do compare, Sigma creates slightly nicer looking blurred parts of the image and a nicer bokeh, and Sigma gets a point here. What's really surprising is the minimum focusing distance, because on paper these lenses are very, very similar. Lumix at 24mm minimum focusing distance is 19 centimeters when Sigma is 17, 3 centimeters closer, and at 60mm Lumix is 33 and Sigma at 70 is 34, so about 33 at 60. Very, very similar, but in reality, in real world situations, it seems like Sigma can get way closer. It's marginally closer physically, but what results you get, the Sigma actually creates macro-like images because those centimeters closer distance, focusing distance, and in result the images got more blurred background, more depth of field, and slightly nicer looking bokeh. So Sigma actually wins here when it comes to minimum focusing distance and what kind of images you do get when you do get close. The zoom range, is that 10mm make a huge difference? Is it really that important? Yes, of course, you have a little bit more reach with Sigma than with Lumix, but in real world situations, using these lenses individually, independently, I haven't really noticed that I'm missing something from the Lumix. The 10mm is such a small difference in a reach that is not really that important in my opinion. When it is important and it makes a difference is when filming with these lenses on the current Lumix cameras. S1R2, S1 II, S5 II, S5 IIX, S9, all these current cameras, they do have something called hybrid zoom. When switched on, it extends, uses the full area of the sensor basically to create a 4K video without losing any quality. You extend the zoom range of the lens. And on the cameras like S1R2 with a high resolution sensor, the hybrid zoom extends sigma of 24 to 70 to 24 to 146mm, and the Lumix from a 24 to 60 to 24 to 125. That's a huge difference in a focal length when you zoom in, and you get a seriously extra reach. On all the cameras with a 24 million pixel sensor, you do get a 24 to 109 on the Sigma and 24 to 93 with Lumix using the hybrid zoom while filming. Yet in this case, the Sigma wins by mile because that range becomes significantly longer when using the hybrid zoom. So point to Sigma. Build. These lenses are physically different. Sigma is slightly larger, not much, but it is larger. There's also different weight. Sigma weighs 740 gram when Lumix 544, 200 gram less. Not a huge difference, but I'll tell you, it is noticeable difference when you have to carry camera and the lens with you in your hands, on your shoulder, in your camera bag all day long. That weight difference makes the difference. Sigma has got more stuff on it. It has got manual aperture ring, which is clickable, declickable with a switch. There's a lock for aperture ring as well. You do have an autofocus manual switch. You got two focus hold buttons, which can be programmed to different things in the camera. And you also get a lock, so the lens doesn't extend when you lock it, when you're pulling it out from the bag, for example. Lumix, on the other hand, has got an auto manual focus switch, one focus hold button, and that's it. Obviously focusing rings and the zoom rings. Talking about the zoom rings, this is a big one. It could be a big one for some of you, because on Sigma, to zoom in from 24 to 70, you turn the zoom ring anti-clockwise. On Lumix, to zoom in from 24 to 60, you turn the zoom in clockwise. Not a big thing unless you are using other lenses from either brand. So if you are already invested and you're using other Sigma zooms and you switch to this Lumix 24 to 60, you are going to be frustrated because this zoom ring turns the opposite direction. The same if you are using other Lumix lenses, other zoom lenses, and you switch to Sigma, it's very frustrating. Not a big deal because you do get used to it, but yeah, it's something to know that the zoom rings on the lenses turn the opposite directions. Both lenses are weather sealed. Sigma has got 82mm filter thread, Lumix 77. That makes Sigma, buying filters for Sigma, much more expensive. Overall feel, build quality, I think the Lumix just feels a little bit sturdier and better built, and I believe that less is more, and for me the smaller size, smaller weight and less buttons, less switches on the lens makes the Lumix a better lens for me, so I give Lumix a point here. Price and value for money. There's a big price difference, although these lenses are very similar to each other. Sigma costs £1,129 here in UK or $1,319 in US, when Lumix costs £900 in UK or just under $900 in US. Yes, it's a big difference in price when you consider that you can do pretty much the same thing with both of these lenses. Yes, Sigma has got the manual aperture ring, it's got 10mm more of the zoom range, there is more of the lens, so you pay more for it. It's very hard to decide which one of these is a better value for money, but for me Lumix wins here because it is cheaper and it's still amazing lens in comparison to Sigma. Conclusion. Which one of these two lenses is better for you? Right, you have to kind of take it all with a pinch of salt, because in the end of the day, it is personal preferences and what you need from the lens. Both of these lenses are amazing, they're excellent quality. But it comes to preference. Do you prefer that slightly longer zoom? Do you prefer the manual aperture? Do you prefer the Sigma zoom ring rotation direction? Or do you prefer Lumix, lighter, cheaper, smaller, but you don't have as many frills or options? I do like personally less is more, and Lumix for me is a better lens for me personally, but it doesn't mean that Sigma is in any way worse. It is actually a better lens overall, but yeah, I prefer personally this one. So after everything you've seen and heard from me, which one of these two appeal to you more? Which one of these would you choose and why? Let me know in the comments below. And this is it from me. I hope this video was in some way helpful or informative. If it was, please give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.